Alright, can I get a quick test in? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the surprise mid-afternoon stream. Get excited. Do not smash the like button, and definitely don't subscribe, because today we're not playing the game at all, technically. We're just going to read, and possibly listen to some dialogue too. Not sure. Not sure how much. So I found out that Aramis has a couple of things to say back in the city, so we're gonna start with that. I don't know what she says. I just know that she has something to say. I don't know if she had more dialogue like every week or something, or what. It's just completely slipped by me and I've just been sitting on it. I don't know how much it is, but I will listen to it. But after that, since I'm on a bit of a time schedule, so I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna try and read a couple of bits of lore that I missed. But mostly just the festival lore book.
Here to enjoy your victory? I remember when I was a hatchling. I was brought to witness a House of Judgment trial. 2 Elixni, armed with ceremonial blades. Trial by combat.
They did that?
Shame of defeat lasted only as long as your fleeting life. It was simple, kind. This, being left to rot in the filth of my own failure until I am deemed fit to be executed. This is cruelty.
Them's the breaks. I just noticed that is there. Is that there to prevent her to shoot? The placement of that turret is really funny to me. Anyway. I'm going to re-instance. And I'm going to check and see if she has anything else to say. If not, then we are just going to move right along. That's the wrong icon. I keep mixing up these two icons a lot. I love that Last City icon is there, but for some reason it's starting to confuse me about whether I should click that or not. But yeah, sorry for the radio silence. Haven't been Haven't been able to stream lately. Been getting into other things. But we sure have played a lot of festival. I just realized that I was talking to her with the witness mask on. Oh, that's even funnier for some reason. Oh, you do have more.
Back again.
That's right.
I never thought I would long for the solitude the prison of elders provided. Instead, I am left to feel like a curiosity, trotted out for all the world to see.
That feels like really
Bask in
apt
the
for this
glow
exact
of my
scenario.
spectacular failures. To relish my defeat. One last humiliation.
Alright. So that would fit. I wonder if that's like a weird holdover from the episode, like, individual release episode schedule that they had before. Because if it does, that would fit the... That would have been the third one, and that would have fit what they've been doing so far. So that should now, but we'll see. Oh?
I do not have time for your gawking. My council has presented me with a labyrinth of documents I must read. She has translated it into my language, obviously in an attempt to lull me into a false sense of security. Such theatrics as this will not fool me. There is no justice at the hands of humanity. Only death. Only death.
I mean, keep talking like that and maybe you'll just get what you want. I don't know. I mean, you sure do assume a lot. Just let it play out. You see what happens. I want so desperately to prove her wrong. I am curious who this individual is. This, like, what was the term that she used? Agent? Handler? What did she say? I forget.
Back again. I never thought I would long for the solitude the prison of elders provided.
So it seems to be random every
I am
time?
left to feel like
And she's just got a list of things she says? Okay.
trotted out for all the world to see.
Alright, I'm just going to assume I've heard it all.
My
At least for now. Alright, got a couple things. So, couple of old lore tabs up here. I don't think this went past what I hadn't read yet. Nope. I'm actually surprised that one doesn't have one, but then again, I'm also not, I guess. So let's see here. I feel like I got like a full set or something that had a lore tab on it, but I might just be wrong. Alright, this should have something. This is from the event. It's even worse in the dark. Those little things are fast. You ever seen a screep? Oh, good start. The hunter asked and tilted his head toward the elixir before him. They perched on a stack of skates. of crates. Jeez. Spending their break well above the hustle and bustle of the Varisis core. I've heard of them through Scribe Ido's retellings, but never seen one. Are they not simply small, bulbous creatures? The Elixir inquired and folded both sets of his arms. That explode? Yes, but I don't understand the fear induced by them, the Elixir said. Surely something like an Ahamkar would warrant more terror. He's just mad that every time we encounter them, he somehow always becomes their target, a warlock said. It's practically serendipitous. She hopped up onto the crate beside the hunter, who rolled his eyes. Ulixney chuckled. What about those tormentors? Said a corsair, placing a box down and joining the conversation. Hearing your bones strain while within their clutches. The Elixir tapped his mandible and nodded slowly. Agreed, worse than a scream, the warlock declared. Okay, fine. What's the scariest thing you've seen out there? The hunter bit back. The warlock didn't even hesitate. Eris Morn. There was a long pause. Someone dropped something further down the street and the noise echoed in their silence. Yeah, the hunter said. The Corsair and Elixir mumbled their agreement. Fine, but Screeb juice on its own. A bout of groans and disgust swept through the group as they scattered. The hunter followed quickly behind the warlock to continue his ramp. The Elixir shook his head and followed the Corsair in the opposite direction, inquiring further about the tormentors. That's an interesting perspective. Eris Morn is the scariest thing, get real. That caught me off guard, actually. Oh, right, and that's from the actual episode. Are there things from this that I haven't read? That doesn't have anything new. Oh, right, Fair Judgment has something. Okay, so we gotta read Fair Judgment, the Zerf Board, and Old Rancor first. Oh, right, I did get this too. I don't think I read this. That's old. That's just an ornament. Ornament. This shouldn't have a new lore tab, and I don't think it had one to begin with. Okay, it's just those four. Let's read this. This is probably going to be separated from everything else. Who knows where the next wave will take you? The ship's a spruced-up galliot, glorious in its pearlescent blue paint and bizarre angles. Just looking at it makes Subralia want to take it on a joyride clear out of the Sol system. Walking up the gangway into the ship itself makes her want to cry. The ship has the necessary capacity for a full fire team's worth of supplies and survey equipment. Between the Vanguard support, generous contributions from the Awoken, and several upgrades courtesy of a lapsed dead orbit adherent, the ship's a lot to be entrusted with. These new sensors are something else, Isidro announced from the cockpit. If so much as a mouse sneezes out there in the black, we'll pick it up. Raleigh squits at him. Mouse? Space mice, or, a gravitational anomaly, or mysterious freaky signals. Vanguard will be along in a few to see us off. Roach 5's... Roke? I think that's Roke. Roke 5's composed baritone emerges from the hatch leading to the cargo hold. You two ready? Raleigh settles into the co-pilot's chair. To go find out what's left of our solar system? Of course we are. Remember, Roke intones gravely, this is pure recon, no big risks. Raleigh and Isidro exchange grins. Sure thing. As they hop on their surfboards and ride into the sunset. What a sentence. This is probably also... Hello, buddy. This is probably also separated from some things, so let's go ahead and read that as well. The chair, the blindfold, the scales, the sword. Ido extinguished the flame on her ambient air gas burner. As the beaker above it cooled, the solution inside resolved into two distinct fluids, layered on one atop another. Even at high heat, they remained immiscible. She clicked her mandibles in irritation. Oh my goodness, Rogue. The footfalls of an approaching visitor interrupted her. She welcomed the distraction. Anything to justify the hiatus she felt too guilty to grant herself. Varix hobbled in, his fur collar matted by the lab's humidity. The vandal glanced surreptitiously toward Mithrak's Kill, who was slumped on his throne nearby. Even though the troubled Kel was heavily sedated, Varix kept his voice low. I think my mouth is very dry. I'm not getting the hard sounds in. Varix has a new task for you, young Ido, he muttered. Ido sighed. This was not the pleasant diversion she had hoped for. I'm too busy to take on new jobs right now, she objected. There is a dispute between House Light and the newcomers from House Salvation, Varix continued, breezing past her objection. A squabble over salvage rights. The jump drive of an ancient ship found outside the city. That seems simple enough. Surely you can mediate. Of course. Varix is a scribe of House Judgment. Are you? I want to be. Eventually, but... She gestured with exasperation to her laboratory equipment, her ailing father, and her myriad failed attempts to cure him. House Judgment keeps peace for all, Varix replied gravely. Not only one house or one Kel. As a scribe, your allegiance to House Light must always yield to a greater need. Varix ushered his young pupil from the lab. Come, he encouraged her. Help your kin. Create harmony, and it will follow you back here. It was exactly the type of advice her father would have given. Ido relented, letting Varix lead her outside. As they emerged, she expected the usual pangs of guilt. Instead, she was surprised to find only relief in the bustle of the city and the chill of the evening air. I imagine this is just tearing at her inside. Pretty sure this is from the dungeon. This is from Vesper's host. Urgent, personal, unsent. Tell me you haven't signed on yet. Stay on the surface. Better yet, go back to Earth and out of Bray's orbit. Leaning over his sledge, Istvan smacks the airlock button. Through the airlock speaker, the station says, lockout procedure initialized. Remember to double-check your personal oxygen supply. Istvan gives a little get-on-with-it motion with a hand, waiting for the cycle to complete and let him out. The station's solar catchers should be self-repairing, but something always breaks, and then it's always his problem to fix. Normally alerts would come through his earpiece, but Istvan's tweaked his to only give alerts for problems within 100 meters of his location. Pretty fun. Issues with the lab's 5 sectors aren't always his issue, at least not until his shift leader messages him. Airlock opening. Technicians are asked to return once system charge drops to 40%. Nobody follows that procedure. 40% charge is an absurdly huge margin to getting back inside safely, but their fussy station keeps reminding them, always in the same cadence. He kicks his sledge into gear. It's a relief to get away from the research complexes, from everything in them he doesn't understand. Istvan gets to work. Powering down a grid of the solar catchers, cutting out the damaged material, cutting a new piece from the replacement roll. The only sounds are the squeaking of his suit joints and the hiss of his cutter. Until the station says, the loudest he's ever heard, charge at 93%, threat level alpha. Istvan jerks up, cutter gouging a hole in his repair material. No detail. Another false alarm from their fussy station. Even louder, the station says, charge at 93%, threat level alpha. He looks around. Nothing. Except a handful of fiery glints in the dark. Istvan grabs his sledge. It drags him up the hall. His suit scraping across the Wow. His suit scraping across the catchers in a way that'll leave bruises. He doesn't stop until he finds an overhang. And then he watches fragments of meteor coming in hot from far out of orbit, impacting the solar catchers right where he was standing. His roll of repair material is torn apart in an instant. Technicians are asked to return once system charge drops to 40%. His charge is sitting steadily at 86%. Shakily, he says, "Heading in now." Sounds like it got bad out there. Sounds like you didn't do your job. Alright, now what's this one got to say? Old Rancor. See the world with fresh eyes. Cormorant level encrypted message follows. Audio surveillance transcript. Unresolved evaluation pending directive. I greet you in the light, Ixis. Thank you for speaking with me. I understand you have some questions about the House of Light. Oh, no offense taken. Our houses haven't always embraced with war arms. I understand your reluctance. Your history is so much longer than mine. Wow. Your history is so much longer than mine, as Varix is constantly reminding me. You haven't had much reason to trust the humans. I can see why you believe that, but you must admit much has changed since the Twilight Gap. This is a new period in history. Potentially the greatest era of development we've seen since the Drift. It's an opportunity to move beyond traditional rivalries to create new. Aramis Kell may have evolved more than you think. We've spoken at lengths about the hardships your generation faced. Many at the hands of the humans, and many more self-inflicted. I know it's hard to change old ways, but the young Elixni of House Light, those hatched after the Drift, we have no appetite for more death. We share no animosity with the humans. They're our neighbors now. Well, if cooperation is defeat, then we are defeated. All thanks to the bloody mess left to us by our venerated elders. I apologize, that was unkind. I know you've faced much and persevere, but if a loss of pride is the cost of peace, then so be it. The House of Light will raise their hatchlings in safety, free from old bitterness, and be glad of it. I'm just hope that you're able to see the city as I do someday. Ido's kinda right for that. They didn't live through that. They don't know what all that was about. Should they care? Because it seems like not their problem. Alright. Okay, there's actually not many entries in Volume 4. That's good. That means we might be able to get through these at a somewhat decent pace, but we are going to be sitting here for a while. Oh. Tales of the Forgotten Volume 4. Faint guitar music drifted through the streets of the last city, barely audible over the buzz of citizens in the market. Gwent's iris flicked between passing patrons and the pleasing festival decorations. His self-assigned patrol was barely a distraction from his racing thoughts, but it made him feel helpful to Crow and the Vanguard, even if they didn't know and were too preoccupied to care. A nearby stand decorated with stained glass wind chimes caught his attention. He gave them a closer look, wondering how to get one back to Crow. "Come on, quick!" a voice shouted. Gwent turned to see 4 teens rush by the stall, narrowly avoiding a cart full of vegetables. To Gwent's surprise, one teen carried a large pumpkin. "These kids and their headless ones nonsense, I swear," the stall owner said. "It's that time of year. Silly pranks abound." responded a patron with a chuckle. Gwent quickly floated after them. New recording. Ghost Den Session 1. Location, Tower Bazaar, previously New Monarch Meeting Area. Facilitators, Eva Levante, Micah 10, and Mila Hayova. Record Keeper. Participants, Ghost, Gwent, Ophiuchus, Kugu, Lexicon, Bee, and Bat. Start of recording. Welcome, Little Lights. Thank you for joining us. In the spirit of the season, and with recent events in mind, we wanted to hold this gathering to give you space to talk and share. The Festival of the Lost is an opportunity to celebrate life and honor death. We often forget to do both and can feel much more turmoil. We often forget to do both and can feel much turmoil as a result. Milhayova is recording, but only so you can look back on your progress if you like, so please don't feel intimidated by her. Circle note. The participants glance at each other. Ghost shrinks under everyone's curiosity and floats closer to the open air of the balcony. Now, who would like to begin? Are these structured in a semi-non-linear order? That's a little bit annoying. Gwent saw the teens running into an abandoned building and floated in behind them. The rays from the setting sun trickled through the windows, allowing Gwent to find his way without providing his own light. Keeping to the shadows, he bobbed his way through piles of debris, passing half-finished murals on the walls, until he found the room the pranksters had decided to make their hideout. As he entered, he noticed a collection of curiosities that he couldn't quite place, but it was an unfamiliar book in one of the teens' hands that claimed his attention first. It looked thrown together. Pages of varying quality and color poked out haphazardly, like an art project gone wrong. No, the pumpkin has to be in the center cache, young awoken girl said, exasperated. Gwent spotted cache. The human boy made a patronizing face, but moved the pumpkin anyway. With its carved-out eyes and sharp teeth, the item in question fit with what Gwent knew of headless ones. Nothing about it glowed, which was a good sign, so he dipped slyly behind a box to avoid detection, and continued to examine the room while the teens argued over this ritual. Okay, I think after this, I'm going to read them in as close to the proper order as I can, because I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this way of doing it. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Oh, I'm worried I'm going to lose my place. We'll see. Circle note, a ghost with a light blue shell Kugu beeps and floats toward the center of the circle made by the other ghosts. Ah, Kugu, go right ahead. The witness is a spineless, weak jerk that made everyone's lives horrible. Who asked for his opinion on how the universe should be run? No one. I've never seen such an entitled being in my life. I wish I could have shelled a smokehead with it. I would have ripped it in... Circle note. Other ghosts looking between one another, a few giggling. Another ghost with an all-black shell, Lexicon, quickly flies up and pushes gently against Kugu. Yes, the witness is awful, but maybe we should try to move forward? It's dead. Holding on to anger will only poison us and our future. That's an excellent perspective, Lexicon. Thank you. Circle note. Kugu grumbles in agreement and returns to their original spot, with Lexicon close behind. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Would anyone else like to go? Circle note. A ghost idle in place. Iris is nervously looking around. Anyone? Ophiuchus? Circle note. Ophiuchus does not say anything. He stares back at Micah and slowly blinks. Lexicon floats towards a pillar and hides behind it. Another ghost makes a noise akin to someone clearing their throat. Eva continues to smile from her place next to Micah on the couch. Moving on. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Circle note. A ghost with an orange shell, B, floats forward. Another, Bat, dons a red shell. She hovers close to her. I can go. It's okay, you got this. Circle note, Bat gives B a comforting nudge. She takes a shaky breath. We almost died during the war. I know that almost isn't as bad as did, but I haven't felt the same since then. What you experienced is just as important. No need to minimize it. It was terrifying. The way his limbs reached out to crush anyone in his path. We got grabbed. It looked like that. It looked like that was it, but then it disappeared. The circle note, the two turn to Ghost, who can't meet their gaze. He floats a bit lower. We're alive because of you. Thank you. Wait. What is this? Is this referring to? Is this our ghost? Alright, I actually need to go backwards a little bit. I'm sorry. Who are the... Yeah, our ghost is here. Ghost is the only ghost that is called Ghost. And it's referring to our ghost being the one that made the sacrifice at the end of Final Shape. That's awesome. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Circle note, the focus is now shifted to Ghost. The rest of the participants, quiet and willing, turn their attention toward him. I don't know what to say. I'm glad I could help, I just... Circle note. He looks around and retracts. I can't. Not yet. Hey, it's okay. Circle note. Gwent floats over to Ghost and huddles beside him, shells touching for comfort. I can go next. Continuation of Session 1 recording. The war with the Witness was never going to end without losses. I don't think any of us wanted that, but we all knew that if it meant saving lives, we'd pay whatever price was asked. But I've never felt a ghost's death before. Circle note, the circle falters for a moment. Many of the ghosts shift uneasily. They don't look at Gwent. I didn't know Targe for very long. The nature of our mission in the Pale Heart brought everyone's ghosts together. I've talked with Ghost a lot in the past and consider us friends, but it was nice to be around Targe and Ophiuchus, to see things from a new perspective. Circle note, Gwent sighs. Ghosts look at him. Ghost looks to him. Ophiuchus does not react. I wish I could have gotten to know him better. He didn't want to die. Or he didn't have to die. Oh no, here we go. All eyes snap to Ophiuchus, shells twisting with curiosity. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Targe was a pain, just like Zavala sometimes, but he was a good ghost. Circle note, a soft gust of wind passes through the circle. It sounds closer to a roar in the silence. You get used to someone's presence when you've been around them for so long, even if you don't speak often. Circle note, Ophiuchus sighs. I knew he was going to do it. Something reckless, but I thought he would make it out. He and Zavala have been in many a bind, so I foolishly thought this would be no different. I do think I miss him. Circle note, there is a long pause. The other ghosts share glances. Ghost? What was it like when you died? Oh, this is actually getting really interesting. Continuation of Session 1 recording. You don't have to answer that. No, it's fine. I'm fine. Circle note. Ghost shell flexes and shakes a little. Micah and Eva watch him carefully. Final deaths are always a possibility, we all know that. There's a complacency we feel, a comfortability when it comes to our immortality, but being in the Pale Heart, fighting alongside the Guardian, feeling the damage to me increasing with each moment, I don't know why I came back. I don't know why it was me and not Targe. He was just as important as any of us. Circle note, ghost shell droops. The rest of the group look away. Some float closer to one another. He should have come back. Continuation of Session 1 recording. I'm proud of you for expressing how you're feeling about this, Ghost. I know it can't be easy. Targe's death was a tragedy, and so was yours. No one could possibly have known you'd get a second chance. And it's okay that you don't feel okay. Any one of us would likely feel the same. Circle note, the participants nod in agreement, empathizing. You're not alone, Ghost. You are here and we're here for you. We'll get through it together. It'll just take a little bit of time. Circle note. Gwent nudges Ghost for reassurance. Oh, this is so nice. Continuation of Session 1 recording. Circle note. The other ghosts have dispersed. Eva and Micah linger together to watch Gwent, Ghost, and Ophiuchus, who float by the edge of the tower, looking out at the city. Are you okay, Ghost? No, but I think I will be. Good. Maybe it's inherent for all ghosts to want to sacrifice themselves eventually, as morbid as that sounds. I'd do it again. I know. Should we just have a moment of quiet for Targe? Yes. Circle note, the silence permeates the air as they float by the edge. They naturally migrate closer together. End of Session 1 recording. I'm not going to read that just yet because that might be an epilogue for the whole thing. Okay, so we read Chapter 2. And we need to read 3. There were some unusual objects in the room. Gwent scanned them when he was sure no one was looking. Colorful fabrics draped over various things. 100 or so melting candles. Counterfeit gambit coins. Swords that were supposed to be hive in origin. Candy dumped in a variety of buckets, boxes, and vases. Everything was a forgery, some sort of fake. 2 young Elixni had been standing off to one side. At the awoken girl's behest, they approached her in the center of the makeshift ritual circle. That was when Gwent's eyes caught something interesting. An altar, covered in more candles, and smaller baubles that reflected against something familiar. An item he hadn't expected to find here, a golden reliquary container. A debate had started between the teens. While they were distracted, Gwent could easily float unnoticed from one hiding spot to the next. They were arguing whether to use melted candy on their hands to bond them even further before the ritual, which resulted in huffs and objections. Cash sighed at the response to his suggestion. Gwent floated past some deactivated, or more likely broken, Cabal shields, and some weird blue substance in a mason jar before stopping at a box a few feet from the altar. He wasn't close enough to scan it, but it certainly looked like a real reliquary. It sat beside a book holder that took up the center of the table. There were other items around it. A gold medallion with a symbol he didn't recognize. An orb that shimmered like starlight. An assortment of scarves and rocks that gleamed in the candlelight. But nothing looked as potentially concerning as the reliquary. Anything could be in there. He glanced over at the group for a moment. Having checked that their attention was elsewhere, he floated over to the altar for a closer inspection. The teens stood in a circle. At the center was a pumpkin, positioned in middle of an intricate at the center was a pumpkin positioned in the middle of an intricate symbol, painted with unsure brushstrokes, smudged to fix mistakes. Stop fidgeting, Nirsic. Nirisk. Yes, Nirisk. Stop fidgeting, Nirisk, the young Elixni girl muttered, tightening her grip on the other Elixni's hands. You don't see Cash or Rhea fidgeting. I'm not fidgeting, said Nirisk, as he grabbed Cash's hand. If you're scared, I'm sure we can do this alone. Melly, I'm fine, Nirisk retorted, his tone short. Everyone ready? Rhea asked. The teens nodded. In one hand, she held up the book she'd been leafing through when Gwent initially arrived. The words they strung together seemed a bit nonsensical, despite recognizing a few. Gwent approached the altar with the intention of scanning the reliquary, but he couldn't. Confused, Gwent tried again. Nothing happened. His sensors were jammed. He couldn't even send an SOS to the Vanguard. A violet glow danced in his peripherals, demanding his attention. He spun around and to his surprise, saw it was from the pumpkin head. Eyes and mouth alight. Oh. Did they actually summon a headless one? Huh? Hold up. Panic surged through Gwent, as is progressing through me. No. According to all the research he and Ido had done on the headless ones over the years, this shouldn't have been possible. It shouldn't have been allowed to happen. Nothing in this room was real, or at least shouldn't have been able to be a power or ritual. The book. It had to have been the book. The teens were lost in the trance of their spell, a palpable energy lifting them slowly from the ground. This was only supposed to be a prank. Gwent tried once more to reach out to the Vanguard, to Crow, but his radio was eating static. He did the next best thing. Hey, he shouted. It worked instantly. The startled teens yelled in surprise, and with their concentration broken, tumbled to the ground with loud thuds. The hell's a ghost doing here? Cash asked. Everyone had risen, hissing painfully to their feet. They looked around as they brushed themselves off and checked their injuries. Wait, Melly said. Gwent floated closer to them, Elixir's eyes widened. That's not just any ghost, Egghead, that's the Hunter Vanguard's ghost. Gwent? Nirisk asked. Melly nodded. Beside them, the flickering candlelight danced on Rhea's pale violet arms as she folded them protectively over the book. That doesn't answer the questions, he said defensively. I could ask you the same, Gwent said. He looked at each of them in turn, but found his gaze drawn invariably back to the book. Even from a distance, it didn't look special. What in the world were you trying to do exactly? Summon a headless one? What? No, that'd be ridiculous, Rhea said. Everyone knows there's no way to do that. Yeah, exactly, Cass said. We were trying to speak to the dead. Gwent blinked. Yeah, I just imagine the meme of the guy blinking, but instead of a guy, it's Gwent. You were trying to... What? Gwent asked, taken aback. Well, Melly started, then paused. She looked hesitantly at her peers. We were talking about how many people fell during the war, and we just wanted to try to speak to them. Gwent noted the cautiousness in her voice. He floated higher to be level with their faces and saw how they all looked away from him, as if ashamed. Or was it something more? We don't care about stupid pranks, Rhea explained quietly. We had heard that this time of year was the best to try something like this. The Hall Between, Gwent muttered. They nodded. Realization dawned on Gwent. They'd lost people to the witness and they were looking for solace, for answers. They wanted to feel close to the loved ones again after having them taken away so suddenly and without warning. Gwent could understand that. Oh. This is rough, buddies. I put this book together with all the things we found during our research, Rhea said. She gently placed the book on his stand at the altar. My mentor... Her face faltered. She always said to keep your notes in one place, so they're easier to find. She never liked things to be messy. My sister was also like that, Cass said, eyes downcast. Nearisk and Melly looked at each other, one of Melly's arms wrapped around Nearisk. Our brother went into the Great Machine as well, Melly started. It should have been me, Nearisk whispered. Gwent felt their sorrow deeply. They were all so young, so... These individuals went into the Pale Heart to fight against all the Witnesses' forces together with us, I see. I was going to join him. I was supposed to be there, Nearisk said. But I was a coward. I turned back. He didn't look at me with shame, only understanding, and that somehow makes it worse. I should have given my life to protect the Great Machine, too. Nearisk kicked the Pumpkinhead just hard enough for it to... Nearisk kicked the Pumpkinhead just hard enough for it to tumble out of the circle they'd painted on the floor, his face dark and mocking. You shouldn't think like that, Gwent said, his tone soft and full of empathy. I know that's easier said than done, but trust me when I say I understand. Someone I knew died, and I thought, why not me? It's so easy, isn't it? To blame ourselves and think we could have done something differently. If only I had been there, maybe they'd still be here. The music in the background is like really helping me out right now. The emotion welled up within the ghost and he struggled to contain it. How do you get past that? Nearisk asked. It just feels like ether draining out of me constantly and I don't know how to stop it. Time, Gwent said simply. You give it time. And you lean on each other. You get through it together. The teens were quiet. Gwent knew it wasn't the answer they wanted. They were here in search of closure, her hopes pinned on forged relics and fabricated rituals. All they wanted was closure. We're sorry, the teens mumbled together, their voices sad. Are we in trouble with the Vanguard? Rhea asked. Gwent shook his shell from side to side. No, you're not. But I am going to clear this place out and make sure nothing is amiss. Get on home, okay? They nodded and turned away. He added loud enough for them to hear, and no more rituals. You don't know what could happen if you accidentally mix real spells together. Thank you, Gwent, Nearisk asked, and lingered for just a moment before he joined his sister. Gwent sighed. Any other year, he'd have been excited at the idea of a potential ritual to summon a Headless One, but this year he simply wanted some time for quiet contemplation. Figuring out what had caused such a strange phenomenon could wait. It was a problem for him and Ido to revisit at a future date. For his own peace of mind, Gwent scanned the reliquary and was relieved to find that it was just packed full of candy. Okay. So, yeah, what did cause his connection to go? That was very strange. I feel like that was just left open-ended for some reason. Everything has been moved to a vault designated by Ikora for future inspection, Gwent reported. She thinks one of those hive swords might have been real, so she's sending someone to investigate the market where the kids got everything. Oh, they didn't leave it open-ended. My bad. I just needed to wait like 5 seconds. Why didn't you call me? Crow asked, arms crossed as he leaned against Amanda's old workshop table. Gwent floated in front of him. You've been busy, and I didn't want to waste your time with what looked like a prank. I'm never too busy for you, Gwent, Crow said, sincerity in every word. Gwent's shell slumped a little in response. Were they alright at least? I think so, Gwent said. As alright as one can be after everything. I think they just need someone to talk to. Crow considered Gwent for a moment. Come here, Crow said, and held up his hand for Gwent to float to. He obliged and was taken by surprise when Crow pulled him to his chest for a tight hug. I'm sorry I haven't checked in with you. I'll try to do better, I promise. Okay, Gwent said, and pressed himself into Crow's cloak. They remained like that for a while. Well, that was a surprisingly, less spooky and more wholesome entry into the Tales of the Forgotten. This time, actually. I really liked that. And yeah, this is the perfect time to reflect on everything that's been lost, huh? Well, guess there's only one thing to do now. What helmet did I have? Genuinely don't remember. I guess it was this one. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it was, because that's 2010. You know what? I will end on something else, actually. I've got some engrams I can cash in. Maybe, just maybe, I can get another memento. Maybe try for... Oh wait, actually, I think I might have enough for, several class items. And one last thing... Wait, is it... I always forget where this is. Oh, there it is. Time to turn back in. Time to turn in all the candy. You know, I was genuinely surprised that they actually updated the Lost Sector bosses to have, one less health gate. It's not something that Bungie usually does. But it definitely made a lot of those Lost Sectors way better. Made the grind a lot. Removing the spectral pages entirely and only making it manifested pages instead. Really enjoyed that. I think I completed that book on one day. It's pretty crazy.
Oliva's got something special for you.
It was sincerely a good change.
Wonderful.
Is that?
Lovely.
Yeah, it's enough. I just don't know if I want to pull anymore. After this one.
Wonderful.
Alright, here we go.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Gotta love it. Alright. Got 3 class items and 1 more memento for the lot. Okay. I have a necrotic Star Eater.
Tell your friends about Eva. Hi there.
Don't know if I have that. I think I got an Assassin Star Eater very recently, but Wait, what am I doing? I'm not used to the vault from anywhere bit. And it shows. Ah, yeah, there it is right there. What was the other one I got?
Enhance a guardian's journey.
I never thought I'd live to see.
Checking.
This out of here. Ophidian Star Eater. I think I saw that.
Again, Guardian.
Do I actually not have that?
This is home.
Eververse isn't just a title, it's a promise.
Well, how about that? I actually don't have that. How much more candy do I have, Eva?
There's
Can I
a
get
lot.
literally anything else out of this? I actually have quite a bit of candy. Well, may as well just get some goodies out of this. I've got the resources.
I could get you another if you like.
Oh, I'm 3 short? Oh, that's a rip. Oh well.
Come back soon,
It is what it is.
Guardian.
So how long did that go? Oh, that's actually a pretty good time. I genuinely didn't think I was gonna be done that fast, so whoops. Like I said, don't get excited. I said it right from the start. Don't hit the like button and definitely don't subscribe. There we go. I think that'll do it. That's another festival in the bag. Revenant Act 2 launches in a couple, well, actually it comes out tomorrow, but we won't be doing it tomorrow. We'll be doing it the day after, most likely. I'll see you again when the time comes. I gotta get going. I'll see you guys some other time. And by some other time, I mean Wednesday. Goodbye. Oh, that was exactly an hour.